Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Cisco Live 2019.
Between what is hoped for and what can be, there's a bridge. Between the aspirations of a ball club and the greatest sports venue in America, there's a bridge. Between chaos and wonder, endangered and protected, there's a bridge. Built on technology that can solve, create, heal, inspire, and secure. A bridge. There from the beginning to where we stand today, and where we will go from here. One company, one promise. If you can imagine it, we will build the bridge to get you there. Cisco. The bridge to possible.
Please welcome Vice President EMEAR Marketing, Jeremy Bevan.
So who here has seen the film Blade Runner? Okay, keep your hand up if you saw it when it first came out. There's a few of you. 1982. 1982. That's 37 years ago. Yeah. How old are you feeling now? The thing is, all those things that they said would be happening in the film, they should be happening by now. We should have humanoid, lifelike robots amongst us, right? Well, not really. We haven't really got that yet, have we? We do have Sophia, the robot. I don't know, not exactly lifelike, but did anyone see Sophia singing on the Jimmy Fallon show, doing a little duet? That was pretty creepy. So we're not really there yet. But then again, there are other things. We should be seduced by digital billboards everywhere, advertising to us within an inch of our lives. And I suppose we do have that, don't we? I mean, you only need to look at Times Square, Piccadilly Circus, airports, shopping malls, and all around Cisco Live. There's plenty of things advertising for us, and maybe soon there will be an advert that says you can go and start a whole new life on another planet. Maybe that's coming soon. And then, of course, we should be talking to our computers by now. Alexa, what's the weather like in Barcelona today?
In Barcelona, Catalonia, it's 7 degrees Celsius.
Nice. It's snowing at home. Good to be here. Hey, Google, turn the lights off. Maybe back on. You know, the best thing about streaming this event to 30,000 people around the world is that somewhere, someone is telling Alexa to shut up and telling Google to turn the lights back on. Of course, the other thing the film showed is going into a phone booth to make a video call. Well, we don't need any of that phone booth nonsense. We've got it absolutely nailed. We went way past you here, Blade Runner. We got WebEx, we got TP, we can do it wherever we like. It gets you thinking, doesn't it? Because films are a reflection of kind of how things are today and how that might progress. What will things be like in the future? What could be possible? And I've spoken before at Cisco Live about that connection between what we do and what could be possible. And imagination is the most important thing to be able to create solutions that can make our lives better. From the smallest things in our personal lives through to things that can transform business, change the way we operate, drive efficiency, create new business models, all the way through to things that can make a difference and solve some of the world's biggest challenges. Technology is truly an enabler, and the technology we build at Cisco together with all of you remains at the heart of remarkable potential. Now, 35 years ago, Cisco was formed. That's 2 years after the Blade Runner film came out. And you may know that the first incarnation of the Cisco logo was inspired by the Golden Gate Bridge that crosses the Golden Gate Strait from San Francisco to Marin County Peninsula. And over time, that logo has evolved. Same as, those trench coats in Blade Runner, they aren't really the fashion of today. Why is it, by the way, in all science fiction films, trench coats are the fashion of the future? I don't get that. But logos of companies become reimagined over time. And Cisco's logo has evolved too, but it also remains the same. It still represents that bridge, which is a powerful metaphor for what we do and who we are. We are a bridge that connects people and places and ideas to create the possible. And our purpose has never been more relevant than it is today. And towards the end of last year, we launched our Bridge to Possible campaign, which is actually about who we are. It's about with a definite purpose and mission. And that is to bring to life the stories of people, and real innovation behind them. And we are so honored to share stories as part of that campaign. So let's take a look at one of those stories now to show you exactly what I mean. Let's roll the video.
Stel je voor, de eerste zijde uit China. Kruiden uit Indië. Thee, rubber, suiker. Al de rijkdom van de wereld kwam hier, in deze plaats.
For over 500 years, the lifeblood of commerce has flowed in and out of the port of Rotterdam. Today, it's on a scale and at a speed never before imagined, until now.
There is a lot at stake. We have vessels entering the dangerous cargo. We have very large container carriers. If one gets stuck in the entrance, the entire harbor is jammed. Consequences, safety-wise and economically, are immense if something goes wrong. The logistics are easy, but to make the puzzle work, that is complicated.
Making the puzzle work is a network of sensors spread across the port's 41 square miles, providing terabits of data. 200 calculations a minute. Wind, tides, currents, and visibility to help guide 130,000 ships a year and protect 468 million tons of cargo.
In my function, in my job, the security is the main thing. If we have the right data and the reliability is proven, we can predict what the situation will be 3, 4, 5 hours in advance, and we can plan with that. After careful evaluation and planning, everything is possible in Rotterdam, and that's the thing we are proud of.
The confidence to run Europe's largest port, and one company delivers all that sensor data safely, delivers all that data securely. Between the storied past and a modern efficiency the Dutch would call
Ongelooflijk.
there's a bridge. Cisco, the bridge to possible.
Now, you might think that the stories that we're going to share are going to be all about technology to solve problems, big problems, like the one you've just seen, to create something new or change the way a business works. And that's true, it is, but it's also about how Cisco changes the lives of people. And we have wonderful stories, and I would encourage you to check them out on Cisco.com. People whose lives have been absolutely transformed, even through simple things like enrolling in the Cisco Net Academy. You should check out the story of Soso when you get the chance. She was now working as a chief solutions engineer in Africa, and her life and the life of her family has been transformed as a result of her getting trained and now working as an engineer. And the wonderful thing is that she is an inspiration to other women as well. And actually, I bumped into her yesterday here at Cisco Live. So you may bump into her, and you may want to say hello and get her to tell you her story personally. Between what is hoped for and what can be, there is a bridge. Cisco is passionately committed to being the bridge for people, for growth and opportunity for people all around the world. And we are committed to positively impact the lives of 1 billion people by 2025. Now, I want to remind you that here this week, we have the Gateway. And you may remember that we launched the Gateway a couple of years ago here at Cisco Live, and we now have thousands of customers participating with us. And I'm delighted to tell you that we have 32 customers who are here with us, and they will be telling their stories, their voices, their stories in the Gateway booth here this week. And I would invite you to go and see those stories. And we would love for you to share your stories too, either here this week, on the Gateway booth, or afterwards. So share yours and join in the Gateway program. So welcome, everyone, to Cisco Live EMEA. This is our biggest event ever. Can't you tell? It's great to have you with us for this week. It's a week of new connections, of partnerships, of knowledge sharing, and inspirational sessions. And this year, we have quite a few new things. One of the things you will see is all of that come to life in our bridge experience located out in the playground. In real time, we will showcase all that is happening around Cisco Live. You will build a bridge through your combined contributions through the week. You can interact with it, contribute to it, and we will watch the bridge build over the next 4 days. And one more thing. Cisco's Global Problem Solver Challenge. We invite teams of students and recent graduates to submit world-changing technology ideas. And we have 3 companies with us here this week using technology to create those types of solutions. A cholera detection kit, detecting pathogens and giving results in just 30 minutes. A stove which burns 70% less biomass and generates electricity. And an energy application monitoring all energy sources and alerting for unusual activity. So we are delighted to be setting you up for the whole week here in this keynote this morning. And it's great that we have David Goeckeler with us, our Executive Vice President and General Manager of Cisco's Networking and Security Business Group, together with members of his leadership team. They are here to provide you with the latest updates from them and from our customers. So I will leave you in the hands of David and his team.
Today, every company on the planet is looking at a new reality. When it says that you're no longer tapping into a cloud, you're unleashing its full potential. Adapt to change faster. Connect anyone to anything, anywhere, faster. You want to grow your business? Boom. Here's the thing. This new reality comes with realities of its own. Applications are harder to control, harder to secure. costs escalate, and ever-increasing complexity, suddenly, you're running out of resources, man. But guess what? Between all the promises and making it happen, there's a bridge. One built on security that isn't an afterthought, but the main thought. Intentional from the start, in the right place at the right time between all your connections. One that lets you deliver applications on time, on any platform for a better experience every time. And one that lets you manage an entire network simply at scale. This is the new reality made real. And the company that invented the network in the first place is now ready to take you to this new place, where the power of the network moves at the speed of the cloud. Wherever you are, wherever you need to go, happens like that. Smarter, deeper, and more flexible than ever. And this is the bridge to get you there.
Cisco, the bridge to possible.
Please welcome EVP and GM Networking and Security Business, David Goeckeler.
All right, good morning, everyone. It is great to be back in Barcelona for Cisco Live. All right, for all of us engineers, this is our week. We look forward to this. This is the time where we get to talk about all the innovation that we've been working on for the last year. Right? All the stuff that's been going on behind the scenes, all the work we've been doing, we get to come out here and share it with you this week. So we look forward to that. All the top engineers from Cisco are here, and we're here with all of you, all the top engineers from our customers. And it's going to be a great week, and I can't wait to dive into that innovation. We've got all kinds of new things to talk to you about. Now, I was walking around this room this morning before all of you got here, and it struck me, this is a pretty big room. There's a lot of people in here. The number of engineers we have working every day, hardware and software engineers across the whole portfolio, would fill up this room 4 times over. Over 25,000 people work every day to build the solutions we're going to talk about this week here at Cisco Live. You're going to get to experience all of that work, and everybody is passionate about building that to simplify your lives, to solve your most difficult problems. All right, before we dive into the innovation, and the innovation engine at Cisco is on fire, right? We're really proud of all the work that's been going on. I'm going to give you a little bit of the big picture of where we're going across the whole portfolio, right? We can't dive right in. I got to make you wait just a little bit. Give you the big picture. All right. We've been talking about this for the past 18 months. We've been talking about reinventing networking. That's a big deal for Cisco to come out and talk about reinventing network. So why have we been doing that? Right? All of you know. When I meet with you, all of you tell me, look, the IT landscape that you're dealing with today is radically different than it was even a couple years ago. The amount of complexity we have to deal with, the requirements, the pace at which things are moving, all very, very different. So let's look at why is that the case, and what are we doing about it at Cisco as we think about how we're going to build the future of the network. All right, there's a couple big things going on out there. First of all, the cloud. We've talked about it. This is the major technology trend of our day. It's changing everything. Across our portfolio, it's changing the whole portfolio, how we build it, how we leverage the cloud. And it's changing everything for you. It's increasing the pace of innovation. The amount of capabilities that are being delivered are incredible. But we need to think about it a little differently now. We're a decade in. The common way we talked about this was everything's moving to the cloud. It's not an issue of moving. Think of it as an expanding. The world is expanding to the cloud. And it's not a single cloud. There's multiple clouds. So from a networking and security perspective, this creates a much more complex world for us. It's a great world. It has a lot of capabilities, but we have to deal with that. So the world is expanding to the cloud, and you're going to see that throughout the entire portfolio, how that's impacting the way we build networking. Second major thing that's happening, all of you know this, you are building the next generation of digital experiences. Whether that's how you deal with your internal employees and the kind of services they expect, how do you deal with your customers, the supply chain. Users want access to any information on any device at any time. Whether it's a major IoT project and what we're connecting to the network, we're building the next generation of digital experiences. So when you put these two things together, we have a different set of variables for all of us to worry about. We've got, on one side of the network, we've got users and devices constantly changing. Many, many more users on your network, many devices, experiences across any of those devices. On the other side of the network, you've got applications and data constantly moving, constantly changing. Applications have been virtualized and containerized and now run across multiple clouds. They run in your data center. They run at the edge of the network. Data is not just in one place. Data is not just in the data center. Data is all across the network. And these things change. The intersection of this, they change all the time. Traditional networking wasn't built for this environment. This is not get all of your static users' data to the data center because that's where your application is. The world is much more dynamic now. We have to think about the network from a, how do we automate things? How do we use analytics? How do we secure it differently? Much more dynamic environment. This is causing us to rethink what I call every single networking domain there is. From the campus, your wired and wireless access, to the branch and the wide area network, IT, OT, IoT, that whole domain. How do we bring the operational technology together with the IT environment, the data center, cloud providers, service providers undergoing the same thing, how to automate the network, 5G is coming, and finally security, the most important domain of them all. We've thought about security as something separate. Now we've got to think about it integrated across all of these domains. So every single one of these networking domains is changing because the environment and the problem we're solving is much more complex. But here's the key. The key is, where Cisco's going, is not just evolve these independently, but how do they all come together in what we call a multi-domain architecture? We have to think about how we integrate all of these together to simplify the whole networking environment from the user to the application. And how do we get any user on any device to any application over any network and do that securely? And to do that, we've got to think about how do we bring all of these domains together into one architecture. And I think you're going to see that as you look at the portfolio. As you look at the number of things this week, start to put this lens on the portfolio. It's not just how are we evolving the campus, it's how are we bringing the campus together with a branch, one unified policy architecture across the whole thing that's automated. How do we bring the data center and the cloud together in a hybrid world? How do we integrate security across every domain? The branch is changing. So we're bringing all of this together. Network that sits at this intersection of users, devices, applications, and data. It's dynamic, it changes, it allows you to deal with the technology environment you live in today. All right, we think only Cisco can build this. Why? Because we have all the pieces. From the campus to the branch to the data center, security, service provider, we have all the pieces. And as those 25,000 engineers work every day, they're thinking about how to integrate this entire architecture together, automate it, secure it, drive analytics through it, to build a simpler environment for all of you to power your business. All right. Now, we've been on this journey for a while now. It's been about 18 months. We're not going to do this in one step. And we started this journey a number of years ago with ACI. It was all about the policy-based automation of the data center. We moved to the campus. Last year, at Cisco Live in Barcelona, we talked about assurance. How do we bring things like the network assurance engine? How do we bring wireless analytics to you? All of that, how do we use all of that data we have in the network to deliver a better experience? So this week, we're going to take several more steps in that journey. We're going to talk about data center innovations. What's the latest we're doing in the data center? We're going to talk about SD-WAN and security. The WAN is one of the biggest, as customers adopt the cloud, as all of you adopt the cloud, you need to rethink about your WAN. We're going to talk about that. And it's not just software defining the WAN. How do you think about security that's integrated into that whole architecture? And then finally, we're going to talk about IoT. Maybe one of the most exciting parts of the networking business right now, the number of devices we're connecting to the network. And it's not just devices. It's entire industries that are changing as we bring IP technology to places we just haven't brought it before. So that's what we're going to talk about this week. The innovation engine is on fire, and we're going to start it off in the data center. And to take you through that is Roland Acra, that leads the data center business for Cisco. Roland, take it away.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. It's such a treat for me to be here, to be back home first, to be with you. You might know my first steps with Cisco was walking in your shoes, designing and operating networks, the first IP networks, 1991. If you don't know what I'm talking about, ask Jeremy Bevan. He was watching Blade Runner in 1982. To expand on David's introduction, I want to talk about what the data center in our vision is becoming. And the first thing I want to put out there is something that I hope many of us can relate to in one or more forms. We see our developers wanting to take advantage of the tooling and the speed and agility that the cloud affords them. We see data growing outside the data center. In retail, data has a perishable lifetime. You act on it while a consumer is there. You get the benefit to the business. It has to be acted on location, and on time. We see for disaster recovery and resiliency, people wanting to either distribute multiple data centers or take advantage of colos or bare metal clouds, and so on and so forth. So we all have these realities to deal with, as we can see on the picture. And really, we want to take the data center and the goodness we developed for the application or for the data in the data center, wherever the data or wherever the application goes. And so we capture this with a cute phrase. There's no longer anything centered about the data center. And really, that's the theme of the section that I'm going to be leading with you here. And we're going to take a look at a couple of these examples. But first off, I want to tell you what we're announcing today to the world. We're announcing three things. Number one, ACI Anywhere. Number two, HyperFlex Anywhere. And number three, some exciting capabilities with Cloud Center Suite, our workload orchestration tool. We're going to spend several minutes looking really vividly at what we mean by ACI Anywhere and what are the new capabilities. We're going to do the same thing for HyperFlex. So on Cloud Center, what I want to do is a call out to an innovation showcase session that would be entirely dedicated to what we're doing for private cloud and workload orchestration. A couple of nuggets that I'll tease you with. Number one, very exciting cost optimization and orchestration capabilities within Cloud Center. And number two, a new SaaS delivery model, so a new consumption model for software that until now had been enjoyable on-premise and now can be consumed directly via SaaS. Starting with ACI Anywhere, the first that I want to do is just a quick reminder of what we have done with ACI. What was the real benefit from ACI? We wanted to optimize networks. We wanted to protect business. We brought segmentation to multi-tiered applications. We brought policy and selective access to nodes of an application. And obviously, we wanted to simplify operations. You guys are always having to do more to empower your developers, in addition to what you've had to do all along in making software and applications available. And automation and integrations with many, many third-party systems have been at the foundation of how we help you achieve with ACI. Now, the journey has been now around for 5 years. We're almost to the day at a 5-year anniversary on ACI. And we're really proud that we have achieved this #1 software-defined network solution on the planet. And who deserves the thanks for that if not you? It's your adoption of new technology. It's you holding our hands and telling us, here's how you should improve it. Here's how you should enhance it. Here's how you can make my life easier. Thanks to you. Thank you for making us the #1 solution provider there, because it is really your enthusiastic technology adoption and your tough love and your coaching to us that makes us able to deliver that. I'm really grateful to you for that. The journey has had many themes. We started off initially focusing on scale. We helped people go from small fabrics to bigger fabrics to multiple data centers. From there, we decided that multi-site was much more important when disaster recovery and resiliency was something that people cared about. We then focused on extending the reach in places where you may not think of a fabric of switches. Could be extended locations, forward deployed workloads, in branch offices, in colos, in factories, in places where you only have the luxury of deploying, say, one switch. And then we completely virtualized it by decoupling the software from the hardware, allowing you to take advantage of either bare metal clouds or environments where you may have brownfield infrastructure from Cisco or not, and still took the policy and the consistency of ACI. And today, we're adding the leg of fully deployed workloads on infrastructure as a service in more than one cloud. One of the things I would like to call your attention to is the commitment that we've had all along to always being agnostic and open to every hypervisor, to every container framework. That has been our definition of multi-cloud in a private cloud setting. We're taking that same philosophy and making the multi-cloud reality here today when people want to enjoy more than one public cloud in fully virtualized infrastructure as a service mode, with the consistency of policy and management. So with that, there's no better person I can bring on stage than Ronak Desai, who's the Vice President of Engineering of our ACI team. Ronak, welcome on stage.
Thank you. Thank you, Roland.
So Ronak, 5 years, and I think you've been on it since day one, all 5 years.
Yes, Roland. It's been a long journey. You know, when I started on this journey, I used to have a lot of hair.
Well, I can't help you there. I used to have a lot of hair, too. But look, delighting customers makes it worth it, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Let's talk about what we're going to show here to vividly illustrate what ACI in the cloud is going to do for people.
Right. So, you know, Roland, the next big innovation on ACI is the multi-cloud capability. So just to illustrate the power of multi-cloud capability for ACI, let me walk you through one of the customer scenario. So we have this customer here based in Barcelona. They have data center here locally, but they are thinking of expanding globally. And they do not have data centers in other region. So they are looking at public cloud as an option. Also, their developers are asking flexibility to deploy their workload into some of those public clouds. But their CIO is really concerned about the cloud lock-in, right? So they came to us and saying, Cisco, can you solve my consistent network connectivity across on-prem as well as the multi-clouds, and also the segmentation policy? And that's where we started on this journey. And just to illustrate that through a quick demo, let's just look at it here. So what we are seeing here is our ACI multi-site orchestrator. So as you can see it here, in the interest of time, Roland, what I did was I registered our on-prem site, which is in Barcelona, as well as the site, ACI site, which is running on AWS in Americas, as well as the Azure site, which is running in Australia. And we registered them. And as you can see here, just by registering it, we are able to pull in the health of all those sites and able to show you here in one console.
So there's more to it than orchestration. We're also listening to telemetry from these clouds in order to tell people if it's healthy or not.
That's correct, Roland. So not only we listen to the on-prem telemetry coming from the ACI, but we also watch tools like CloudWatch on AWS and similar tools on Azure, and basically take all that visibility and up-level it here for you, right? So let's just quickly view our ACI side on AWS. As you can see it, the health score is all green, 100. And let's look at the connectivity from perspective of AWS side, which is running in America, to the other side. As you can see it here, it's all green, and it looks pretty healthy.
So the way you do it, it looks like a universal remote control. And I say that because we know that Azure and AWS are very different targets. They have different API sets, different metaphors, different ways of doing things, but yet you were able to do it from one system.
That's right, Roland. Just to kind of illustrate the power of automation, to do this in a traditional way, you have to execute 3,300 commands on your cloud router and an on-prem router. Here, I did that with few clicks and few input parameters. So that's the power of automation. ACI is not only about network connectivity, but it's also about the segmentation policy. To just show you that, let's look at our application, which is running here in Barcelona. As you can see, this application is deployed with its segmentation policy, and it looks all green. What am I going to do here now is just do a couple of clicks and try to deploy this application on AWS and Azure. And let's hit deploy. And when we hit deploy, we are basically doing a bunch of API calls from an Azure and AWS standpoint. And it takes a couple of seconds. And as you can see it here, it's all deployed very, very quickly in a very simple way. Let's deep dive a little bit on and look at the AWS side, which is our ACI side here. And as you can see, the dashboard looks all green. Just to show you the segmentation policy, let's click down here. As you can see here, our web tier can only talk to the DB tier on SQL. This was the segmentation policy you had defined. And we are able to show you what are the cloud resources also which are getting consumed here.
That's the protect your business part of it, which is if you're holding consumer data, the database had better be only accessible by anybody having the right business to it. I've got to ask you one more question. Are we talking about future directions here? Are we talking about things that are imminently available?
So this is very, very real, Roland, as real that we had to shut down our EFT because we had so much interest. We'll be shipping this very, very soon. And just to leave you with one thought, ACI, when I started on this journey, we wanted to be hypervisor agnostic. We have done the same thing for multi-cloud, and we are multi-cloud agnostic. It doesn't matter. We'll provide you the consistent policy from a standpoint of network connectivity, as well as segmentation across any cloud, including your on-prem ACI.
Ronak, thank you. Thank you for the demo.
Thank you very much.
And I really hope that you see that this is something truly unique. No one else can do this, a true multi-cloud capability across more than one cloud. So I'm going to move over to the now demonstration section of HyperFlex Anywhere, our new announcement. And similarly, I want to do just a very quick recap of the themes of HyperFlex's journey. Initially, we focused on simplicity and speed of deployment. After all, what is hyperconvergence about if it's not that, a cloud in a box, quickly ready to go and deploy applications on? From there, we worked on hardening and making it worthy of any application, including mission-critical applications, databases, ERP systems. And then from there, familiar song, went to multi-cloud, hypervisor agnostic, container framework agnostic. And today, what we're announcing with HyperFlex Anywhere is the ability to deploy conveniently, quickly, and at massive scale clusters of hyperconvergence outside of the data center in branch locations and forward locations. And in order to show you some of the demonstrations of that, I'm going to invite on stage Kostab Das. He goes by KD, who's the Vice President of Product Management for our UCS and HyperFlex business. KD, welcome on stage.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
So, KD, you've been the spiritual father, the steady hand at the tiller for HyperFlex from the beginning, haven't you? What a journey.
I have, and what an innovation journey we've had. It's been incredible.
Let's talk about what we're going to show people here with HyperFlex Anywhere.
Yeah, so let's take a look. So our customers' data is really moving everywhere. And our customers want to move their data centers everywhere. So our fictional customer today is a retailer. It's called Casa Depot. They're expanding rapidly into Europe. And they want to get 30 locations stood up very, very fast. IT is a little nervous about it. They don't want to slow the business down.
So IT is nervous. How would IT have done it prior to HyperFlex Anywhere?
It's a little complicated. So what IT would do typically today is they would pick a central location, they would get all the gear there, they would rack and stack it there, test it, unrack it, then move gear and people to store number 1, then to store number 2, then to store number 3, and keep going in that fashion until it's all done. Obviously, it takes time, and it's error-prone.
It's error-prone. But there must be a better way?
There sure is. So what we do is we do a 3-step process. We start with a pilot store in Barcelona. We use that pilot to then automate the deployment of a second store in London. And then we deploy through the power of the cloud into all stores. So Barcelona store has chosen the HyperFlex 2-node edge device. It's cloud connected via Intersight, and it has this nifty innovation called a cloud witness for data resiliency. So once you get that store up and running, you've got the application on that store up and running, and then it's going into the Intersight cloud management console to replicate it to London.
So we're going to take a look at this, but I want to ask you, you mentioned Intersight a couple of times. Intersight has been our cloud-tethered cloud delivery system for UCS in every form, for converged infrastructure stacks and hyperconverged. Are we talking about the same Intersight now going?
Same Intersight. It's our singular cloud management solution for our UCS servers, our converged infrastructure stacks, hyperconverged, our entire portfolio is the same exact Intersight.
One point of management. Let's
take a look. So I'm going to get into Intersight right now. And as we can see, our Barcelona store is up and running on the top right. It's healthy. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a replica of the profile for that. So I'm going to get into the profiles, hit clone, and at this point, I'm going to give it a name for the London store. So we give it a name, and we hit clone. And at that point, what it's doing is Intersight is creating an exact replica of the Barcelona store for London. So we'll do a few more things. London's in a different time zone, so we'll get into London. And what we'll do is we'll disassociate the old profile. I'm going to select the policy for the right time zone there. I'll check a few more things. We're also running our SD-WAN solution on here for connectivity. So I'm going to make sure those settings are correct. Looks like the summary is all good. I hit submit. And at this point, Intersight takes over to do all the automation for the London store behind the scenes.
So automation, well done, looks incredibly simple, almost to the point of boredom.
Yeah.
What does actually happen behind the scenes that automation has taken care of? Can you give us a sense for that?
Yeah, let's take a look. There's a lot going on behind the scenes, and Intersight is managing that. So Intersight from the cloud is taking these service profiles for the servers. And for the London store, first it's getting the servers up and running, installing the hypervisor, getting those up and running. At that point, you need to get the VM for the SD-WAN installed. So that gets installed. The right policies for the SD-WAN settings get put onto it. And then, at that point, you've got to get the distributed file system, the HyperFlex Edge cluster installed. The LUNs get created. There's a whole bunch of things that happen to get the whole infrastructure up and running. All of this is happening behind the scenes from the cloud, deployed from anywhere through Intersight.
Consistent management. And so for the company to go into the several dozen other sites, it's a rinse and repeat from here.
It's a rinse and repeat. So let's go back here, see what's happened to the London store. We have the London up and running. I'm going to get back into the dashboard for a second. And we see the Barcelona store up on the top right. That's healthy. I've got the London store bottom right. That's healthy. You can see the capacity and the utilization. Those are good. So for going into doing this for the rest of the 28 stores, like you said, it's rinse and repeat. What one does is one loads the profiles into Intersight, all of the service profiles. Intersight then can actually deploy all of the stores, potentially in parallel, for the rest of the 28.
And we'll scale out from there, all with consistency. Excellent. KD, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the demoing. Again, I hope you see this is unique. This is unique. The ability to do such scalable hyperconvergence outside the data center with cloud management, all cloud delivered, is really unique. And I want to end up with simply calling your attention to the fact that I'm doing an innovation showcase half an hour after the end of this session, not half an hour from now, at the end of the session, to get deeper into both ACI Anywhere and HyperFlex Anywhere. And with this, I want to thank you all and give it back to David.
All right, thanks, Roland. Tremendous innovation. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I just want to make sure. So first of all, you're right. Everybody's got to stick around to the end, and then they can go to your innovation session. Don't go too early. And all this is shipping, right? Very soon.
Early field trials today.
It's all technology out in the wild. All right, congratulations. Thank you. All right, incredible innovation in the data center. I don't know if we should call it the data center anymore. It's really, taking the innovation to where the data is. That's the reality. It's not about getting the traffic to one place. It's about taking the innovation to where the data and the applications really are. All right, let's move on and let's talk about another part of the network that's undergoing incredible change, and that's the wide area network, the branch. The move to the software-defined WAN. And it's not just, again, it's not just the branch and the WAN that's becoming software-defined, but we have to think about how we integrate this with security. And to talk about that, Gordon Thompson, who leads sales for our entire enterprise networking business, come on up and take it away.
Thank you, David. Good morning, Barcelona. Morning. The time is now. The time is now, if you have not started already, to start to re-architect your wide area network. Why do I say that? I don't say that because of the software innovation we've developed on SD-WAN is making it easier for you to drive that technology transition. Of course it does. I say it because the technology innovation we've developed around SD-WAN is absolutely helping you drive today digital acceleration in your business. And this is why I ask every one of you to leave here today thinking about how you drive that architectural change in your WAN if you've not already started to do it. You see, it's been simple up until now. We have users in a branch or a campus. They connect to applications that all sat in a data center. You built robust MPLS circuits to connect them both together. That meant that the performance of the application was guaranteed. It was pretty easy to deliver security. And occasionally, people would want to break out of the data center to the internet. And we did that via a DMZ in the data center to break out to the internet. Then we started to develop and use cloud-based applications. Then we started to use hundreds of cloud-based applications. And we ran into the challenge now of being able to provide performance out through that internet connection for all of your cloud-based applications. This model was no longer viable. It was no longer viable for a number of reasons. First of all, if you needed more bandwidth to the internet, ultimately, you needed to create more bandwidth across your MPLS circuit in the WAN, and that became costly. So you started to then think about how else you could deal with that. The easiest way to deal with it was to think about how we built direct internet access into every branch. This then became your second problem, the problem of complexity. Now I don't have one internet connection. Potentially, I've got hundreds of internet connections, which then leads to your third problem. If I've got hundreds of internet connections in my business, maybe that's a bit of a security challenge for me, and how am I going to deal with that? And the final challenge being, if my applications are running across the internet to the cloud, how am I going to drive performance and assure performance of those applications for all of my users? 4 things we needed to solve. This model was probably not viable anymore. The great news is Cisco's SD-WAN technologies with both Meraki and Viptela are solving these challenges for you today. We are moving the internet edge or the cloud edge from the data center all the way out to the branch. And we're moving it all the way out to the branch so that your users can access seamlessly any of those applications, no matter where those applications reside. The software innovations that we're driving into the portfolio today are allowing you to think differently. They're allowing you to change. Change is a funny word. It's easy for me to stand up here and say, hey, you need to change. But the minute somebody looks into my eyes and says, Gordon, you need to change, I think of change differently. I think of, well, maybe I don't need to change. Well, I've already changed. I don't need to change anymore. I start to ignore the fact that I need to change. So here's Gordon standing here saying to all of you, you need to change. And I know every single one of you are standing there saying, Gordon doesn't need to tell me I need to change. I've already changed already. So I'd like to invite a customer onto stage who's going to talk about how they've already gone through that change process. They thought about change a number of years ago, and they've gone through that change process, and hopefully by introducing you to that, all of us will leave today believing that there is a real need to accelerate change within our business. So please welcome onto stage Pascal Haguer from Agilent Technologies. Pascal.
Hey, Gordon.
Good to see you.
How are you?
I'm very well. Please take a seat. We're better taking a seat because he's a lot taller than me. I feel a lot better when we're sitting down. Pascal, first of all, before we talk about change, maybe explain to everybody who Agilent Technologies are. Some people might not know in the audience.
Sure. Agilent Technologies is a leading manufacturer for solutions and instruments that are used in the diagnostics, the life sciences, and the pharmaceutical space. We're represented in over 30 countries and service our customers in over 110 countries. And we're pretty much equally split in size between the Americas, Europe, and Asia Pacific. We generate around $5 billion or so in revenue annually, and we employ some 15,000 people. All of our offices used to be interconnected through a single global MPLS services provider, where we had in-region, internet-based breakouts with the full security stack that you'd expect to see in order to keep our end users as well as our customers safe. Really, we've been a big adopter of IP-based collaboration tools, and in general, I think our company keeps up pretty well with new technology that helps us move our business forward.
That's good.
And I think in late 2015 or so, we started looking more seriously at cloud and SaaS-based service offerings as well.
So I mentioned earlier on that you've driven change in the organization. What were the key reasons why you believed you needed to change?
Well, we felt it was starting to become a real challenge to keep up with some of the change that we were seeing in technology. We were seeing more video to the desktop, an explosion of BYOD and smart devices in our network. And really, where the infrastructure was residing was changing. And being locked into this somewhat isolated MPLS-based infrastructure didn't really lend itself well to get our employees and our end users closer to where the data was going. And so we needed to rethink what we were doing. Our business was changing as well. And we started to become a more agile development as well as a solution-based company. We started launching our own SaaS-based service offering for our customers to help them manage their labs more effectively. Our instruments started streaming IoT-based telemetry, and we're starting to get a feed web with machine learning models in order to get AI-driven results from data that's coming out of our instruments.
It's interesting because you mentioned earlier that in the past it would sometimes take you 3 or 4 weeks to be able to deliver some of those analytical capabilities to your customers. Mm-hmm. Now with these cloud-based capabilities, you were doing it in days and hours.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of our spectrometer particle-based simulations used to take weeks in order to run, and today we're doing that in less than a day, but it requires the scalability of the cloud. And so how do we get there?
So changing is never easy, as we've mentioned earlier on. What was the process you went through as an organization to drive that change? And why did you choose Cisco Viptela technology?
Well, when we started looking at the SD-WAN space, this was early or late 2015, when it was really just a buzzword. There were about 20 or so vendors that claimed to have an SD-WAN services offering. We narrowed that down to 3 vendors and built a lab that closely resembles what a wide area network looked like. And we wrote a pretty extensive 220-page testing procedure that was specifically designed to prove out all of the aspects that we were looking for in our SD-WAN solution. In the end, we signed up with Viptela, now Cisco SD-WAN, because they were the only vendor to successfully run through all of our test cases. I think today it's been over a year since we cut over our last site onto SD-WAN, and we've seen some great successes. We're now able to extend our network into the cloud much easier, and the ability to go from a pretty complex per node routing model into a unified programmable WAN fabric that stretches into the cloud was really key to some of our success here. Our networking team is starting to become more agile as well in some of the developments that we're doing, and we ended up spinning up kind of like an agile secure exchange in the cloud. We spun up 15 different availability zones, put our SD-WAN routers in there, put a full security stack in there, and started advertising a default route. And today, 100% of our internet destined traffic gets scanned for viruses, and we do our URL filtering for the entire enterprise.
And what were then the results of you going through that process? I look up at the slide just now and I see some funky numbers up there, 3x, 41x, 4x. What does all that mean?
Yeah, ever since the start of the program, we ended up tripling our site-to-site bandwidth. We now offer 41 times the internet capacity we used to have available. And we've quadrupled our site's WAN resiliency, and 100% of our end-user traffic that traverses our wide area network is now encrypted. Not only that, we run this wide area network at the same cost as with our MPLS-only infrastructure. So SD-WAN was really fundamental for us in order to start moving our business forward. And it was a key component for us to start running our workloads in the cloud and consider these workloads really an extension of our own internal network and our own internal data center.
Pascal, my final question to you would be SD-WAN, technology transition, or SD-WAN business transformation?
It was a complete business transformation for us, absolutely.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Great to see you.
You're so welcome.
Thanks for your time. And as Pascal leaves stage, I've got some great news for him and some great news for all of our customers in the room today as well. Because we're continuing down that route of SD-WAN software innovation, and we're launching Cisco Secure SD-WAN. This is about us creating a complete integrated security stack within the software of our SD-WAN capabilities already. So within our ASRs and ISR routers, you now get embedded in them an enterprise-class firewall. You get embedded within them IPS services to monitor malicious activity and to help you cut out policy violations. You have URL filtering capabilities to make sure that your users are going to the appropriate websites as required. And then many of you are building on-prem security services, but you also now want to start to build cloud-based security services on top of that. So we're making it super simple for you within our SD-WAN capabilities to integrate Cisco's umbrella management capabilities too. So how does that look? Well, that looks something like this. We've now moved the internet and the cloud edge all the way out to your branch. And in that branch, we have one piece of software, one piece of multi-purpose software that's doing all of your security capabilities for you at the same time, as well as all of your wide area network capabilities too, so that your users can get to any application securely and with performance guaranteed, no matter where that application sits. And then if you want to augment that security capability with cloud-based security on top of that, guess what? You can do that with Cisco. Now think about that, because there's only one vendor in the marketplace that can take the best-of-breed capabilities of on-prem security and merge them together with the cloud-based security capabilities we've got from Umbrella and deliver world-class security to you. And this matters even more as your users start to become and demand to be more remote over time. So we've talked about flexibility and simplicity of management. We've talked about security. Another thing that's really important to us is performance. And with our latest SD-WAN announcements and innovations, we've also provided better performance around Office 365 for all of you who are Office 365 users. And at the same time, we're embedding much deeper analytical capabilities into our portfolio. Because we know that we need to embed deeper, greater analytical capabilities to assure performance for you moving forward. So the vAnalytic capabilities now allow us to start to look at the past and use complex AI and machine learning algorithms to start to predict the future. And as we start to predict the future for you, we can better determine the bandwidth requirements you need at every branch. So you're not reacting to customers when customers start to complain about application performance in the branch. You're predicting it in advance, and you're making sure the user every time is getting a predictable service from Cisco. So if you think about what we've talked about today, we've talked about simplicity. We've talked about flexibility. We've talked about security. We've talked about application analytics and performance. And all of those capabilities are available to all of our customers in either our Cisco Meraki SD-WAN offer or indeed our Cisco Viptela SD-WAN offer. SD-WAN absolutely is a bridge for every single one of our customers. I ask all of you today to think about stepping out on that bridge and going from the side of technology transition and coming with us on a journey to digital business acceleration. Our SD-WAN solutions will deliver that for you today. With that, David, I'll hand back to you and thank the audience for their time. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Gordon. Look, I thought, Pascal, I thought what you said when you were talking about what were you doing, you're talking about extending your network into the cloud. I mean, what could be a more perfect way to think about this idea? We talked about at the beginning, as everybody expands into the cloud, we got to rethink how we build the network. And the network becomes that foundation of business transformation. So, and again, for us, it's not just about how do we change the WAN by itself. How do we think about the WAN, the cloud, security, integrate it all into one solution?
This is where our unique differentiation lies.
Yeah, all right, so fantastic, thank you. All right, so hopefully you're seeing why we're so excited at Cisco. I mean, the amount of innovation we're driving across the entire infrastructure and the change that all of you are going through. Like I said, the cloud is a fundamental change. It's having us rethink the entire networking infrastructure. All right, as I said at the beginning, one of the most, I think, exciting areas in networking right now is IoT, about all the different things that are being connected to the network and how we're transforming entire new industries as we bring IP technology into those. So it's a very important part of our portfolio, and Liz Santoni is going to tell us all about it. Liz?
For years, we've been hearing about IoT.
Ooh, look, my cat just woke up. Let me put the lights on for her.
It's time to get real. This is about big industry-changing things, complex things. It's about a network of things that includes this, and these, and that thing, and whatever this is. You've got more data than you can shake a stick at, and that stick generates data too. This is industrial-strength IoT. It connects turbines to power grids, pipeline operations to refineries, first responders to life-saving devices. It's a big challenge, and it makes a difference to our lives. So how do you meet it head-on? Not like this. Like this. Only Cisco can securely connect tens of thousands of assets at the farthest edge of your network to the heart of your business, no matter the scale. With security built in, not bolted on, and a flexible network to grow as your business expands. Now, IT's happy, ops are happy, innovation is accelerated, business is transformed, lives are improved. Between big ideas and big results, there's a bridge. Cisco, the bridge to possible.
Please welcome SVP and GM IoT, Liz Santoni.
Good morning, Barcelona. IoT. You know, IoT is that term that actually gets thrown around a lot. It's like a marketing person's dream. You know, you take IoT, you slap it onto anything that you want, and suddenly it's supposed to become really, really cool. So actually, I want to make a promise. I want to talk about real news. I want to talk about real technology, real products that actually over 50,000 of our customers have deployed together today. And in a little bit later, I actually want to bring up one of our customers, one of you, because I want you to hear from them on how they've deployed Cisco technology to solve real problems. Okay? So here we go. I like my job. It's really cool. I actually get to talk to customers like you every single day. And usually the conversation on IoT goes something like this. And I'm going to give you the abbreviated version because we don't have a lot of time. So let's picture all of us are actually going to a car manufacturing company. And we're sitting in front of a line of business leader. The number one question that I get is, how can I use IoT to actually improve my end customer experience? Because I actually want to sell them more things. I want to sell more connected car services, like infotainment in the car, so you can find the best tapas place around here. I want to sell more things like in-car Wi-Fi hotspot. So the conversation is usually about, how can you help me compete and grow? So let's then move to the people who actually make the cars on the plant floors. And the conversation goes something like this. How can you help me bring IoT so I can produce more cars? So more yield, better quality, and I want to bring security all the way down to the plant floor, because then I'm in control over what devices get on my network with things like device profiling. I want to use things like network segmentation so I can play zone defense. You get the picture. So whether you're in energy, whether you're in healthcare, whether you're in retail, it really doesn't matter. You can increase your top line, grow your bottom line using IoT. That could be from us, it could be from someone else, to actually address real-world problems. But here's the actually bottom line of our discussion today. Because what you need that robust foundation of a secure and reliable network. Because if you don't have that, most IoT projects fail. You can go out, you can actually buy the best sensors, the best middleware, the best applications. But without that foundation of that robust and reliable network, IoT projects are probably not going to take off the ground. It's simple. Your network is the enabler of your business outcomes. And that's why Cisco's in it. So I want to talk about intent-based networking. And I know you heard this from David before. So intent-based networking started for us in the data center with ACI. We expanded into the campus with Catalyst and with Cisco DNA Center. And then we moved it into SD-WAN. And I'm really happy to announce that we're now extending that exact same architecture into your edge and IoT environments. Only Cisco. Cisco is the only company on this planet that actually can extend that across multiple domains and bring you what you need, that consistent security, that automation, that ease of use, and that simplicity. Because what I hear from customers every single day is, give me scale, give me that flexibility, give me that security to take my deployments from a proof of concept to production. So here's what I want to say. So those in IT, you go out and tell your friends in the operational teams to bring on those new use cases, because we're ready, because you're ready. So let's talk about what we're going to launch today, how we're bringing intent-based networking to the IoT edge. There are 4 chapters to this launch. First, we're bringing 3 new CVDs. I did it again, didn't I? Cisco Validated Designs. I know at Cisco we love our acronyms. Customers hate it when we continue to do that. So we're bringing 3 new CVDs for manufacturing, for utilities, and for managing things like remote mobile and mobile assets. So what's a CVD? Here's the way I look at it. It's our promise. Because in my team, we have a bunch of engineers who spend a lot of time simulating your real-world environments in our labs. We spend a ton of hours doing testing, pre-integration, not just with our products, but with third-party products as well. And we document it all together with a blueprint, with configuration guides, so that you can go out there with confidence when you want to go out there and connect and secure those industrial systems. When you want to connect and secure the grid, when you want to go out and manage those service fleets. The second thing that we're announcing is 2 new hardware platforms. Now, these are built for modularity and flexibility of deployment. The first one is actually a next-generation Catalyst industrial Ethernet switch. This, if you look at it, actually has modularity of interfaces. You can get power over Ethernet, you can get data, you can get fiber, all on this. And it has 9 expansion modules that are actually gone right here. We're also announcing our next generation industrial router. This has flexibility of interfaces. You have LTE, you have fiber, you have copper as well. You want dual LTE? It's an expansion module that goes right to the side. Again, these are built for environments that sit outside of the office space. Now, they both run iOS XE, so you get all of those features of automation and analytics, and they have programmable interfaces. And both of them are actually managed by Cisco DNA Center. So think about it. You get this one instance where you can see a Catalyst 9000, and you can see a Catalyst Industrial Ethernet 3300. Everybody asks about, hey, where's my single pane of glass? That's your single pane of glass. And it's got security features, like root of trust, like signed images. So why should you care about these? These things, most often, they don't sit in a data center where you need badged access. They actually sometimes sit in environments that are pretty open. So those security features become even more critical. And for all the IT operators like sitting in the audience, think about this. These are capabilities that you already know. You can now extend your influence into environments that are outside of the office space. We also have the IoT DevNet zone that's now open. So your developers, the ISVs that you know, can build applications at the edge. Cisco has this large ecosystem of channel partners. We actually created an IoT training and certification program, so those partners can successfully implement your projects. We designed this. CVDs, products, the DevNet Center for IoT and channel partners to be able to enable your business outcome. OK, instead of just hearing from me, I want you to hear from a customer who lives and breathes this every single day. So please help me welcome the head of telecommunications for Energy, Dr. Jürgen Tusch. Jürgen, thanks for joining us. So I'll just give the audience about 30 seconds about what Energy is all about. So for those of you who don't know, Energy is one of the leading providers of energy in Germany. You have about 43 billion euros in revenue, so a pretty sizable company, and about more than 40,000 employees. So Jürgen, when we first met, you said, I've got a goal. It's a pretty audacious goal. I want to be able to eliminate our carbon footprint. Tell us more.
Yeah. Liz, first of all, thanks so much for having me here today. And I'm really eager to share our story. And that's the story about the Energiewende, or energy transition in Germany. And the goal of the Energiewende is to eliminate the carbon footprint in the energy system. So we do this by replacing traditional power plants with renewables. And this is predominantly wind and solar in Germany. The good thing about solar is that everybody can participate. So you
like
just have to put a PV panel on the roof of your house, and you're a producer. So just out of interest, who of you in the audience has got a PV panel on top of the roof and is already participating? Oh, that's quite a bit. Great. This is the good thing about the renewables. It democratizes the energy system. But certainly there's a challenge, and the challenge is that renewables have a fluctuating generation profile. And to keep the stability in the energy system, we have to keep the balance between generation and supply. So keeping this balance is now difficult with the fluctuating generation of the renewables. And the solution to this is we apply IoT technology. So we use IoT technology to keep the renewables under control, thus keeping the balance and thus keeping the security of supply.
Great. Now, when we've talked, you talked about, you run a pretty sizable operation, so I'm assuming scale and security are pretty top of mind for you.
Absolutely. So we are utility, and security of supply is our top priority. And we are running critical infrastructure. And before you let equipment from a manufacturer into your critical infrastructure, you want to be sure that security is a top priority on his list, and that it's not just an afterthought. That's point one. And point two is our regulators force us to become efficient year over year. So efficiency is very important for us. And the rollout of the technology, the design, and the rollout and operation has to be as efficient as possible.
So I know our teams have a pretty good working relationship. And for those of you who don't know, so we've been working with Jürgen and his team for over the past 2+ years. In fact, your teams have actually educated us on how you manage and secure in your operations, and we incorporated some of that feedback actually into our product. Why don't I let you tell the story?
Yeah, that's an amazing story. So it was really amazing to see our teams work together, so the team from Energy and Westnets and your people from Cisco. So we defined the use cases, derived the requirements out of the use cases, and then your team finally developed the router and the systems. The thing is, there's one small characteristic which seems to be very simple, but which is very important for us, because our team requested a small LED on the front side, which lights up when the router establishes the VPN connection. And so it's ready for operation. This is important for us because our technicians who deploy this in the field, they have to handle various technologies. And so it should be easy. And when they install the router, the LED lights up, they know they've done their job, and then Cisco Prime loads all the software, makes the router operational. So that's really a cool story. And there's one more thing I would like to mention, Liz. While you may think IR stands for industrial router, our team believes IR stands for energy router.
Oh, that's very clever. Actually, brand team, Cisco brand team. If you're in the audience, if a customer wants to put our name on our router, we must be doing something right. So, Jürgen, you were one of the first few who got a sneak preview into our industrial router. Any first impressions? Absolutely. We like the modularity of the router. Because we have so many use cases in the energy system, we use a mix of technologies. So it's not just one technology like fiber or 4G, maybe 5G. We use DSL, so the modularity plays in hand. And also there are plans in Germany to build a dedicated radio network for utilities, which will be blackout resilient, based on 450 megahertz. So we already talked to your guys to think about a 450 LTE module for your router so that we can use it in the future network. Great. So modularity, scale, security and flexibility, those are the things that have gone into the design of this. Jürgen, you've been an awesome partner. Your teams have been great. We look forward to collaborating with you. Don't go away. So what our engineering teams thought is that you should have your very own router. So we want to present to you your first industrial router, actually energy router, and it's signed by David and the engineering team.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thanks very much.
All right, David,
Wonderful.
back to you.
That's marvelous.
Guys. So Jürgen, thank you very much for the partnership. I think sometimes, Liz, great job. I think sometimes when we think about IoT, we don't really think about the fundamental transformation we're making to entire industries and working on problems like a carbon-free future. So we appreciate the partnership and driving that forward.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you
great
so much.
work.
Yep.
All right, I got to tell you guys, I got a great job. As you can see, anytime when you work at the center of the networking business, when we're going through this much change, it's an incredible time in the networking business. And Cisco is really committed to redefining how we build networks. And the kind of networks we can build today are very different than even just a couple of years ago. So you saw the new things we launched today. We are thinking about how this impacts the entire networking portfolio, and we are building this intent-based multi-domain architecture that sits at the intersection of users, devices, applications, and data. All right, I want all of you to have a great week. There's tremendous stuff to do here, all the innovation showcases, the hub, DevNet, all the learning labs. Have a great week. Thank you.